Latin legal maxims that could change your life. Imagine this. You're fired from your job without being told why. You're convicted of a crime you didn't commit. Someone steals from you, and the law says there's nothing you can do about it. Sound unfair? Terrifying? Well, what if I told you that centuries ago, wise legal minds created powerful Latin phrases that could have prevented every single one of these injustices? And here's the thing, most people have never heard of them. But the courts, the lawyers, the judges, they use them every single day to determine your fate. Today, we're uncovering these legal maxims that have literally shaped civilization. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why knowing just one of these could protect you in ways you never imagined. Let's dive in. Before we talk about these 8 legal maxims, I need you to understand something fundamental. Picture yourself in medieval Europe, around the 13th century. Justice wasn't what it is today. A king could condemn you to death without hearing a single word from your mouth. A judge could rule against you in a case where his best friend was the opposing party. There was no fairness, no balance, no hope. But then something revolutionary happened. Legal scholars and philosophers began writing down principles, universal truths about what justice should be. They wrote in Latin, the language of education and authority, and they created phrases so powerful that they've survived over 800 years. These aren't dusty old sayings. These are the foundations of every democratic legal system in the world today. Here's the question that will haunt you. How many people sitting in courtrooms right now don't know these rules? How many innocent people are being convicted? How many people are losing their rights because they're simply unaware of these ancient protections? The answer is, too many. But not you. Not after today. Our first maxim is called Audi Alteram Partem. It means, hear the other side. Let me tell you a story that will make your blood boil. Sarah worked as a senior accountant at a Fortune 500 company for 15 years. She had perfect performance reviews. She had a family. She had a mortgage. One Friday afternoon, her boss called her into the office and said, "You're fired. Security will escort you out." That was it. No explanation, no chance to speak, no opportunity to defend herself. Within weeks, Sarah discovered the real reason. Another employee had falsely accused her of financial misconduct. But Sarah was never given a chance to tell her side of the story. She wasn't allowed to present evidence. She wasn't allowed to defend herself. This is where Audi Alteram Partem comes in. This maxim says that no person, and I mean no person, should be condemned without being given a fair opportunity to present their case. It's the foundation of natural justice. In most modern legal systems, this principle is now law. You have the right to a hearing. You have the right to know the charges against you. You have the right to speak. You have the right to present evidence in your defense. Sarah eventually sued. The court ruled in her favor, citing this very maxim. She won her case back, but not before losing 15 years of career advancement, her reputation, and her peace of mind. The moment you're accused of something serious, remember this. You have the right to be heard. Number 2. Nemo judex in causa sua. Now, imagine this scenario. You're in court. The judge hearing your case? It's your neighbor's brother-in-law. Or worse, it's the judge's best friend deciding against you. Or even worse, the judge owns stock in the company suing you. This happens more often than you'd think. It's nemo judex in causa sua. It means, no one should be a judge in his own cause. In ancient Rome, when a judge had a personal interest in a case, the whole thing was thrown out. Not because the judge was necessarily corrupt, but because impartiality is the foundation of justice. A judge might be the most honest person in the world, but if they have a personal stake in the outcome, how can anyone trust them? This principle nearly collapsed during the 2000 US presidential election recount in Florida. One of the judges deciding the case had a son working on the campaign of one of the candidates. The entire legitimacy of the decision was questioned because of this connection. How many times has a biased judge ruined someone's life? How many innocent people are in prison right now because the judge presiding over their case had a hidden interest in convicting them? We don't know. That's why modern courts have a process called recusal or disqualification. If you can show that a judge has a personal interest in the case, any interest at all, you can ask them to step down. And most of the time, they must. The power of this maxim is that it says justice isn't just about the decision, it's about knowing that the person deciding your fate has nothing to gain from ruling against you. Number 3. Actus non facit Reum. Nisi mens sit rea. This is my favorite maxim. And I'm about to explain why, by telling you a story that will change how you see criminal law forever. An act does not make a person guilty unless there is a guilty mind. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're at a coffee shop. You pick up what you think is your umbrella, a black umbrella, just like yours. You walk out into the rain. 2 blocks later, you realize it's not your umbrella. It belongs to a stranger. Technically, you've committed theft. You've taken someone else's property. But should you go to prison? Should your life be ruined? Should you have a criminal record? The answer, no. And do you know why? Because of this maxim. Most crimes require 2 things: a guilty act, actus reus, and a guilty mind, mens rea. Without both, there is no crime. You accidentally taking someone's umbrella is not theft because you didn't have the intent to steal it. This principle has freed thousands of people. A person who shoots someone in self-defense hasn't committed murder because they didn't have the intent to commit an unlawful killing. A person who accidentally hits someone with their car hasn't committed assault because there was no intention to harm. But here's where it gets dangerous. Prosecutors often try to prove guilt by focusing only on the act. They show you did something. They ignore what was in your mind, and that's where understanding this maxim becomes absolutely critical. How many people are in prison right now for crimes they didn't intend to commit? How many people have been convicted based solely on what they did, without proof of what they intended? The answer terrifies legal experts, potentially thousands. This maxim is your shield. If you're ever accused of a crime, remember this: they must prove not just that you did something, but that you meant to do it. Number 4, res ipsa loquitur. I need you to imagine the worst moment of your life. You're in a hospital. You're having surgery. You're under anesthesia. You're completely vulnerable. And when the surgeon finishes, they sew you up. 3 weeks later, you're in agony. You go back to the hospital. They do an X-ray, and they find a surgical instrument inside your body. A scalpel, left inside you, by accident. How would you prove the surgeon was negligent? The surgeon will claim they don't remember exactly what happened. The surgical team might back them up. It becomes a he said, she said situation. Except for one thing: res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. The principle? This is a legal doctrine that says, sometimes the facts are so obviously negligent that you don't need to prove how the negligence happened. You just need to prove it happened. A surgical instrument left inside a patient's body? That speaks for itself. Surgeons don't accidentally leave instruments inside patients. It simply doesn't happen unless someone was negligent. Why this matters? This maxim shifted the burden of proof. Instead of you having to prove the surgeon was careless, the surgeon now has to explain how this happened, and if they can't provide a satisfactory explanation, the negligence is presumed. Think about how powerful that is. A person lying on an operating table, completely helpless, completely trusting, deserves justice. And this maxim says, yes, you deserve it. Modern applications. In modern law, res ipsa loquitur is used in medical malpractice, building collapses, elevator accidents, and countless other situations where the very fact that harm occurred suggests negligence. How many times has this maxim protected someone who otherwise would have lost their case simply because proving negligence was too difficult? The answer, countless times. And that's justice working as it should. Number 5. Ubi jus, ibi remedium. Here's something beautiful. Ubi jus ibi remedium. Where there is a right, there is a remedy. This might be the most hopeful legal maxim ever created. It says something radical. If someone violates your legal rights, the law will provide you a way to fix it. Not might provide, will provide. Imagine someone illegally occupies your house. They change the locks. They refuse to leave. In some countries without strong legal systems, you might be stuck. You might lose your home. But in systems built on this maxim, you have a remedy. You can go to court. You can get an injunction. You can get your home back. The law doesn't just recognize your right to your property, it gives you the tool to enforce that right. This maxim is the reason civil courts exist. It's the reason lawsuits are possible. It's the reason that even the most powerful person can't violate your rights without consequence. Number 6. Volenti non fit injuria. To a willing person, no injury is done. This one requires nuance. It means that if you voluntarily accept a known risk, you can't later claim compensation for that risk. A professional boxer gets hit in the ring. They can't sue for assault because they voluntarily agreed to be hit. A spectator at a baseball game accepts the possibility of a foul ball. They can't sue the team if they get hit. But, and this is critical, this principle has limits. You can't voluntarily agree to something illegal. You can't voluntarily agree to have your rights violated. The maxim protects people who knowingly and freely take risks. Number 7. Ignorantia juris, non excusat. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. In the United States and most Western legal systems, you are presumed to know the law. You can't defend yourself by saying, I didn't know that was illegal. A driver can't avoid a speeding ticket by claiming they didn't see the speed limit sign. A business owner can't avoid tax fraud charges by claiming they didn't know tax evasion was illegal. This seems unfair, right? How can anyone know every law? There are thousands of them. But the principle isn't that you know every law. It's that ignorance isn't a defense when you've had reasonable opportunity to know the law. You can know the laws that apply to your situation. And if you don't, that's on you. This is why lawyers exist. Number 8. E incumbit probatio qui dicit, non qui negat. Our final maxim is the most important for anyone facing legal trouble. The burden of proof lies on the person making the accusation, not the person being accused. In criminal law, you don't have to prove your innocence. The government must prove your guilt, beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard. That's the protection. You can sit in court, say nothing, and if the prosecution hasn't proven guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, you walk free. This maxim has freed countless innocent people. It ensures that the person with power, the government, the corporation, the accuser, has to actually prove their case. They can't just point at someone and say, "They did it. Your turn to prove you didn't." Now you know 8 legal maxims that have shaped civilizations, that have protected the innocent. But here's the final burning question I want to leave you with. Which one of these maxims do you think is the most powerful, and why? Think about it. Is it the right to be heard? The right to an impartial judge? The protection of intent in criminal law? The ability to prove negligence? The guarantee of remedies? The acceptance of risk? The knowledge of law? Or the presumption of innocence? Each one is powerful in its own way, but together, they form the backbone of every fair legal system on earth. Leave your answer in the comments below. Tell us which maxim matters most to you and why. I read every comment, and I'll feature the best responses in an upcoming video. And remember this: the more you understand the law, the better you understand your rights. Knowledge is power, and these 8 maxims are some of the most powerful legal knowledge you can have. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Stay informed, stay protected.